wanted to highlight something before we actually started, like reviewing it. And I completely forgot. That's cool. Okie dokie. Oh yeah, we don't have a rogue for this route. So I had to change something. One of the polls. Um, I don't know what happened here. I'm not gonna lie. I really struggled to gather these. Don't do that. But yeah, something I want to do is grab this guy first, or just like have him targeted beforehand. Press vamp a little earlier, and then there I use health potion just so I can have more HP going into the bowl. I could have done that a lot better. You know, I normally do. I don't know what happened there. I'm trying to face tank this as much as I can, but since it's raging, I just kind of run away. Could have done better at calling kicks there too. We have 3 melee kicks, so we should be able to rotate on the Thunder Colors pretty easily. But I also try and save AMS for cases where I have nothing else, and I also kind of need to hit mobs. Like I use it there. I don't think I should have. But if it does cast again, it's fine because I'm tracking the ability here. In 2 seconds, he's casting, and I just Death Advance and run away. Easily outrange it. Ideally, what would happen is we would actually funnel the Thundercaller and then chain the other one in, because we actually do burn a lot of time trying to kill it on its own. You can't really pull it into boss when it's healthy. I mean, you can. The issue would be the Horn of Valor and the targeted ability overlap. I don't know what it's called. And then for this boss, I just try and call out each position, where I'm going, etc. I try my best to call out like as much as I can, really. And on polls where I am especially safe, surviving wise, that's when I have the most attention being put onto like rotating kicks or rotating stops. So if you can, if you get really good at just surviving and getting that kind of down pat, it'll allow you to communicate better to your team, like with anything really. So let's skip ahead here to the next poll. So something to note, as a blood DK, you can use grips on the mystics as a kick. Ideally, you would use normal kicks on the rune carver. Even one tick of etch can do a lot of damage. You see it there too, like just for a split second. And he was actually standing in the rune of healing, so he got insta healed. But watch the DH's health. Bam. And that's without raging too. I think someone No, that was a different run. If he rages and does that, then your DPS are dead. So rotate kicks on Rune Carver. Um, and then what you can do is you can lock down at least one of the mystics with grip, and then you can have like another melee DPS on it if you have plenty of kicks. The other thing is like rotating your kick, range kick, your kick, and then like another range kick in this case. On the Rune Carver. Same thing goes for Thundercaller, but we'll get to that. But yeah, you see there, we didn't have any kicks for this Rune Carver here. And what I could have done actually was grip it to stall the cast, and then kick it once it's up. Now that all the, or at least one of the mystics is dead. Actually, all the casters are dead here. And then another thing that I do is when I'm kiting this pack, I go around in a circle that's predictable. Even if I'm constantly backpedaling, at least my group knows that, like, I'm going in like a circular motion here. I try and make it wide enough so that like my DPS don't get murdered by the mortal hues too, because the frontals are oddly wide. And the same thing goes for pretty much all of these polls coming up. So when pulling this pack, um, it's fine if the holy radiances go off if everyone is line of sighting your gathering, at least the first one, because it's not gonna do anything. The thunder, this cast here, the thunder color, usually he will cast on you first, so you can just AMS that, get free running power, and also mitigate damage. So for this one, it's kind of the same thing as Rune Carver, except you're free to use grips on it. So if you really want, you can use melee kicks on the two mystics, and then you could almost solo the Thundercaller. You will have to rotate your range kicks as well, though. Ideally, it would look something like your kick, your grip, range kick, uh, grip or kick, and then grip or kick the second one, another range kick, and then kind of repeat that. That time there, it looked. Oh yeah, this is a bug. He's perma slowed by my D&D. That's not supposed to happen. And it didn't look like any of the melee DPS were on it, so I had to grip that. Another thing that you can do is you can use Blinding Sleet on the Thunder Color, and it'll work that way too. So I'm kiting the same way as the last pull. Again, just being as predictable as possible so my team lives. I think there I use the A-bomb grip to interrupt that too. So by this point, there's no casters. I really should just be chaining. That would be a way to save more time. And then same thing here. Ideally, you would have 2 melee kicks on the Rune Carver, and then I kick, grip, range, kick or grip. I'm not entirely sure on the timings of this. You might have to use 2 grips there, like I did, then kick, and then range kick, etc. we'll skip ahead here. It's more of the same kicks wise. Uh, definitely don't tank Mortal Hues like that. And also, if you do need to move, it's always good to call out to your team like, "Hey, I'm moving in this direction. Just GTFO." Now the casters are dead. I chain. No reason not to. Could have done it sooner, but it's fine. Or at least it would be. No, I think this guy only needs 2 melee kicks. Um, if not, there should be ideally plenty of kicks. The same thing here. Tighten a circle, and then here I communicate. Let me see if I can. I'm communicating the frontals as well. So I see 2 of my range DPS are in my path, so I tell them to just watch out. I also try not moving too early to give them a little time to react. And then, so here, since he died, and I guess we have Emiden to be res, but what I did here was when he's about to res, I use Blinding Sleet just in case there are any mortal heals because I can't see him because of the stacking nameplates. So it's kind of a just in case kind of thing. I try and call out as many of the blast of lights that I can see. Because the blast of lights and the mortal hues are what gonna kill your team. Like even if this cleansing flame goes off, your DPS can just move out of the way. You'll lose damage for it, but it is it's not the end of the world. And that's pretty much that pull. Now on fortified, we ended up just lusting this, and also we kind of got cucked by quaking, so we had to wait like actually like 10 seconds just to pull this. So you on quaking weeks, you kind of have to pull this in a certain way. Same thing goes for like Herja, the tree boss, and Algathar, second boss of court. Uh, you could do third boss and AV, but it's not that big of a deal. You have plenty of time to react to that one. And then for kicks here, I always get first, and then I call a range kick because he will use Sanctify immediately after one kick. After that first Sanctify, you'll need 3 kicks, and that's when you just rotate melee. And then usually by that time, I get kicked back up for the range one. And then one thing to note, I start dragging him over to this side where he spawns because it'll mean less time running back there. I could have dragged him there further, but I saw our range players were kind of far, so I didn't want to just like ruin their DPS. The same thing here with the quaking timer. It actually worked out pretty well this time. So I just pulled immediately. Now for this run, we chose to reverse it. We got a weak aura for it, and instead of using nitro boost, which was what I was kind of prepared to do just in case. We talked about it before, the key and etc. But the idea is that once she casts this this ability right here, I don't know who it went on. Oh, it went on the healer. Yeah, so when you see the circle, or not even when you see the circle, when you see her cast it, that's when you want to move to the other side. So you can see the priest is prepared to grip me here. And then this is where you want to move. If you're going by cooldown timer, it's around the 4-second mark. So it was a little late, but this is the basic idea here. So she'll do this. She's gonna have both stacks of the storm and light side. What you want to do is you want to quickly drag her past this line here so that she drops light stacks. And it should give you plenty of time to move back. I kind of fumbled here. I think oh yeah. Probably try and avoid that from happening. Um that was just kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I procced there. Make sure you actually have something for the shield. Now, as a blood DK, another thing that you can do is you can vamp early. Let me see if I do it here. I kind of, yeah, I did it early enough. So just watch for this timer right here. This is the shield of light. And then kind of line it up with like toward the end of vamp. And then what you can do is you can cancel aura the umbilicus shield or like the umbilicus buff. And then you'll have a shield going in there. Like you'll have not only vamp, like the actual vamp buff, you'll also have a really solid shield, a solid enough shield. And then if you, I guess probably should get a tracker for umbilicus, but fine. I just rune tap for safety because it's not going to hurt anything. I have a lot of runes anyways. But yeah, you can actually do that for every single one if you don't like using AMS for some reason. So that's Herja. Also, another thing that can happen on this fight. It's kind of rare. I want to say it happens like once every 10 runs, maybe. Yeah, maybe like 1 in 10. Sometimes our spell queuing will be like before casting Sanctifier Storm. You'll actually cast Shield of Light, which is actually better. It means that you don't have to worry about dropping stacks because you're going to be on the other side already. So just be prepared for that too. I've heard a lot of tanks being unprepared and then just dying to it. So just almost pretend or expect it, I should say. Expect it to happen, and if it doesn't, then you continue as normal. So that's Herja. You skip ahead here. Now, since we don't have a rogue, we are playing this pack. The marksman is the scariest mob in this dungeon. Reason being that you cannot do anything to it. I mean, aside from just pressing your defensives, but just watch my health as I'm pretty sure I call for time dial on pull too. Yeah. Yep. He's a little far though, so but it worked out. Also, I'm just now noticing here, if you can get your group, like if you have a rogue, just stun this guy on pull because you are taking an insane amount of damage. You take damage from the Shattered Rune, you take damage from the Marksman. and it can very easily global you. Um, yeah, in terms of kicks, it's the same thing, except you kind of want to save your grips for the marksman. Um, so ideally, you would have like you can just use stops on the mystic as long as you don't get the rune carver casting on people. And then you always want to make sure that the marksman is in the group getting AoE down. Good thing about blood DK. Yeah, it's actually unfortunate that we played this pull. It's like unreasonably difficult on the tank, and it's that was at least a minute and 20 seconds. Yeah, it was about a minute 22, I want to say, because I got time dial, and you can see it's on cooldown here. Next pull, I think we have a couple melders in here. So, yeah, I mean, aside from the basic mechanics, there isn't really anything different that we do here. Especially on the tank side of things, like this boss doesn't really do anything. So we're opting to do Wolves after Fenrir because I'm planning on pulling, I think it was 8. Yep. It just makes kiting a lot easier to have the movement speed buff. Now, the only thing I will say about this as a tank is get aggro on these things. Um, I've had times where people get meleeed by them. They're not topped off and die to Claw Frenzy. So save Blood Boil if you need to. Um, at least one charge. Something I will do, there's usually a wolf that spawns like way out here for some reason. And so I'll blood boil and then taunt the far one and then blood boil again. Just to really make sure I have aggro and everything. And that's about it. I have to wait for my range to get up on the post. Rocks probably would have been a little faster too. This pull isn't too bad. I was expecting to just get completely destroyed, but it's not that bad. Now, I say this, but as soon as I use my umbilicus shield here, I'm just out. But everything is pretty much dead. I've planted as much as I could. And then call for, stuff like Vortex. Emiden was preemptive about, which is good. D&D to slow them, etc. And then for this, we do bears and bulls. The main thing is just gathering them, making sure you have at least your dots on them, just so you have some sort of aggro. When you're doing this too, you want to make sure that. Hold on. Okay. You want to make sure that you are not turning too soon because you don't want to pull this pack over here. Like, make sure that you are within. Can you see my mouse? I don't know. But yeah, you don't want to pull that marksman pack or it's pretty much wipe. So just wait for the bears to come through, all of them, ideally. This is where you lust on fort. And then you want to make sure that you actually have aggro on everything. So this is the scary part, is you don't want to be mauled by the bears. So you always want to be moving, kind of dipping in and out of their range. And then blood boiling pretty much on CD just to make sure you have aggro. Especially here because I didn't have A-bomb limb because I used it on wolves. Now that I have it, I know for a fact that I'm going to have aggro, so I should be a little more lax on the kiting, especially because after this finishes, they're gonna start raging, which potentially means getting one shot. So even though I'm trying not to get hit, I still pop my cooldowns because the bears are going to slow you down, and that can lead to some unexpected hits or unintended hits. And then you'll see there with the thundering overlap, I was slowed, right? Where is it? So right here, it's like, okay, I see swirls in my path, so I'm going to AMS just in case. So you see, I got my speed back. If I didn't, I maybe would have gotten hit, probably not. But it was just in case. It's better than getting stunned, um, especially because I didn't have IBF. Okay, we're getting two beers here. We're slow about doing this. I think really any kind of invis class should get the beers. And then for pulling multiple, you want to throw it, delay it by maybe 2 or 3 seconds, and then pull immediately. And you want to make sure that they actually start attacking this guy. Sometimes they like to just stand there. Um, my workaround has just been moving the mini boss around him. And then you want to spam click. So once you kill this first guy, you're going to want 3 melee kicks, ideally. So make sure to assign kicks beforehand. So like I'm on this first one. These two aren't gonna cast just yet. They will once he dies. Then once you get to this point, you want to try and just funnel into the highest HP one and kill him. Not evenly because they're already like insanely low, but you want to try and get the pull done as fast as possible. Now, I will say this pull can get kind of spooky as a tank on fortified, especially if you pull all 4 of them. So the main thing to watch out for is the severs, right? And sometimes you will have multiple stacks of sever, and that's when you're kind of in danger. So really, you want to do, or you want to pop something for sever, whether it's an external or like even just vamp at least. Rune weapon can also help. Means parrying the sever, like right there, for example. That's kind of it. we don't really have any like melee funnel, so there isn't any reason to let these guys get close. Shadow Priest can just dot them for resources. That's about it. That was a Wicked Dagger with Raging there. Looks like they might have been like global locked. Another thing I want to bring up. Now, I did not have a bomb one during this thundering. Did I at least use it? Yeah, I use it. The idea for I guess thundering, at least on single target bosses, where you're only going to use it once on like so like fortified, right? You want to hold your A bomb and like whetstone for thundering. Like if you know for a fact you're only going to get one use out of it, you generally don't want to use it for like the end of a pull. Maybe I guess you can use whetstone at the end of a pull, right? But or like at the end of a boss, as long as you get full value out of it. But so we're only going to get one use here, and since we're not going to use a bomb plus whetstone on pull on Odin, it doesn't really matter when we use it on Scovold. So I'm getting the whetstone up here. I'm gonna hold it for this next thundering. Now, I tried to move away from the ads so that my A-bomb wouldn't grip them in, and did not work. Yeah, just it's the way whetstone works. It splits damage evenly between ads. So I probably could have pulled it further away. I could have also just used it separately instead. That would have worked better. It would have meant more boss DPS, which it would have mattered. It definitely would have. It's these DPS optimizations that are crucial, even as a tank. Because I mean, like most of our damage is actually just from trinkets, and if you can really min max your trinket usage, then obviously your DPS is gonna go that much higher. Okay. Now for Odin, the idea is to bait the spears on the outside. So these first two are gonna go on outside here. Okay, and we're gonna get one more spear now. And he summons an ad. Usually it spawns across the room. I like to get kick on it first and then save it for save range kick for that. It doesn't really matter, but I think gripping it in first kind of gets it cleaved down a little bit sooner. But yeah, again, just baiting spears on the outside. After the shatter spears, you want to move toward the middle so that your group can all get to their runes quicker. So another thing I'm doing is I'm waiting for thundering because I know that, you know, more damage there. And we're really trying to min max the thundering here. Oh, that's actually really bad. I forgot this happened. What happened there? Did he get quaked? No, wait, no. I think he got hit by an orb, actually. I think that might have actually cost us the key right there. Anyways, so we get him up. Same thing here. Just kicks and then range kick when he's outside. At that time, I just grip it. Okay. I think this is where I start kind of panicking here. Now, ideally, we would get a better job stacking. It would mean that we can use like AMZ. Yep, so I'm calling them to stack here. He's going to use spears. This first one is going to be Zephyr. We're stacking again. Spears again. And then I AMZ there. So we're alive. That actually would have killed without that AMZ. Yep. Normally, if you had enough time, you would go to your rune. But it looks like we ran out of defensives. Yep. Brought it away to the runic brand. And that was the tragedy of 26 Halls run. So yeah, that's Halls of Valor.